Today, we're doing more than just discussing history. We're learning a language, the ancient language of the battlefield, as laid out by Sun Tzu. This is all about seeing what other people miss and really understanding the unspoken rules of any conflict. Let's dive in. So, right from the top, Sun Tzu gives us a pretty stark warning. Strategy is absolutely not a game for the careless. Every single decision, every observation, it carries the weight of victory or complete annihilation. The stakes just couldn't be any higher. All right, so the first big lesson here is all about movement. For a master strategist, an army on the march isn't just traveling. No, it's an active intelligence gathering. It's a constant reading of the environment, and it's a way of strategically positioning yourself for whatever's coming next. And this, right here, is the fundamental truth for any commander. The real work, the work that actually secures the win, happens long before the first arrow ever flies. It's all about seeing what everybody else misses. Okay, so where do you even start? Well, Sun Tzu lays out 4 critical types of terrain, and understanding how to navigate and, more importantly, exploit each one is really the first pillar of command. The logic here is just brutally efficient. Mountains are tough, they're barren, so don't hang around. You stay near your supplies, and crucially, you never ever give up the high ground. Forcing an enemy to fight uphill literally exhausts them and gives you an almost unbeatable advantage. Now check this out. There's a real offensive potential here. Once your army's across a river, you kind of tempt the enemy to follow you, and that's when you spring the trap. The General Han Shan used this exact tactic perfectly. He dammed a river, let half the enemy army cross, then released the water to sweep them away before destroying the rest. It is a devastatingly effective move. Marshes, well, they offer zero advantage. The ground is treacherous, the water's no good, and you're totally exposed. Your one and only strategic goal is to get through them as fast as humanly possible. And if a fight is absolutely unavoidable, you have to find some solid ground, like a patch of trees, just to anchor your defense and protect your back. You might think a flat plain is just flat, but a master strategist finds an edge everywhere. You look for those subtle rises in the ground to place at your back and on your flank. This simple maneuver funnels the enemy's attack right to your front, where you're strongest. And it makes sure your position is secure. So there you have it. Mountains, rivers, marshes, and plains. These 4 terrains form the absolute foundation. And this isn't just some good advice. According to the text, this is ancient, proven knowledge that allowed one of history's legendary figures, the Yellow Emperor, to conquer all of his rivals. Okay, so once you've got the static ground beneath your feet figured out, you've got to learn to read the dynamic signs happening all around you. The environment is constantly sending you messages about what your enemy's doing and what they're planning. You just have to know the language. This is a classic. Think about it. Birds don't just suddenly shoot upwards for no reason. They've been disturbed by soldiers hiding below. That is a crystal clear signal. Ambush ahead. The enemy's movement literally writes a story in the air. Those heavy, fast-moving chariots, they kick up tall, sharp columns of dust. A broad, low cloud of dust that tells you ranks of infantry are on the move. That simple observation tells you exactly what kind of force is coming your way. And this one's probably the most primal sign of all. If you see wild animals fleeing an area, it's because a large, threatening force is moving through it, trying to be quiet, and attack is imminent. Look, the crucial point here is this. Everything is a signal. Trees shaking in the distance means a path is being cleared. Strange noises at night, that betrays a nervous army. You see soldiers leaning on their spears, they're exhausted from hunger, and they can't hide it. Even the absence of a sign, like birds settling where the enemy used to be, tells you it's now empty. A disciplined general sees every bit of it. Now we're getting to a higher level of analysis. It's not just about observing signs anymore, it's about interpreting human behavior, which, let's be honest, is often paradoxical. Your enemy is rarely going to show you their true intentions. Just look at this contrast. An enemy that speaks humbly, acts afraid, but is secretly ramping up preparations. They're trying to lull you into a false sense of security right before they strike. This is exactly the kind of trick Tian Ten used to save his city. And on the flip side, an enemy making a huge show of aggression, all violent language and posturing, they're often just trying to cover up a withdrawal. They want to scare you away from chasing them. And here is a piece of wisdom that is absolutely timeless. An offer of peace that isn't backed by a serious, binding commitment, well, that's not a genuine offer. It's a stalling tactic. It's a maneuver. It's a plot to gain an advantage. You can't be naive. All right, so after mastering the terrain and the enemy, Sun Tzu turns to the final and maybe the most critical element, your own army. Because an army is just a reflection of its general. Without discipline, all the strategic genius in the world is completely useless. This is really the general's dilemma, isn't it? First, you have to forge a bond of loyalty with your soldiers. Punishing men who don't trust you yet will only create resentment and disobedience. But once that bond is formed, you have to enforce the rules without fail. Because a loyal but undisciplined army just can't execute complex orders. In a real fight, they're useless. So, what's the solution? Sun Tzu presents it as two pillars that absolutely cannot be separated. On one hand, you have to earn your soldiers' loyalty by treating them with humanity and care. But on the other hand, that care has to be matched by an unwavering enforcement of iron discipline. One without the other is going to lead to failure, but together, they create an unbreakable fighting force. Notice he doesn't say it's a road to victory or a possible road. He says it is a certain road. For Sun Tzu, that combination of humanity and discipline is the ultimate guarantee of success. And that leaves us with a question that brings these ancient lessons right into our own lives. Sun Tzu's principles aren't just about commanding armies. They're about leadership, focus, self-control. It forces us to ask, in our own challenges, are we exercising the kind of forethought, observation, and discipline that's necessary for victory? What does our command of ourselves truly reflect?